Mom Donnie's promises of free stuff for everybody has to be paid for somehow. New York Governor Kathy Hochul seems to be putting the brakes on Mom Donnie's free bus ride promises.
I cannot set forth a plan right now that takes money out of a system that relies on the fares of the buses and the subways.
The International Olympic Committee will enact a new policy that will prohibit biological male athletes from competing against women. The IOC's current policy leaves it up to each individual sports governing body to make policies governing men who pretend to be women. But as the IOC changed its leadership, its policies are set to change as well. Women's advocate Riley Gaines says it's about time.
I was looking at some of the articles that came out yesterday, and it said that the IOC came to this decision after findings of these scientific reviews, which is amazing to me. I don't really believe that we needed scientific reviews to determine that men and women are different. I think if you used common sense and reasoning and really just your eyeballs, you would get there. But nonetheless, kudos to the IOC for telling us, I think, what kindergartners already knew.
And finally, an effort to help one veteran find dental care has grown.
Nick Cannon is Director of Operations for Wounded Veteran Relief Fund in Palm Beach, Florida. WVRF provides veteran support with housing issues as well as child care assistance and automobile needs. Talking about this on an Inside Sources webinar about veterans, Cannon said the organization also helps veterans in his area find dental care.
In 2021, we had a veteran come into our office looking for dental care, not knowing that the 85% of veterans do not qualify for VA dental care. We said, wow, maybe we can do something about this. So in 2021, we partnered with one dentist here in West Palm Beach to service this one veteran, and then we started to grow. Now, year to date, we have serviced over 1,000 veterans with dental services and partnering with over 300 private dental partners throughout the entire state.
While taking care of one's teeth can prevent things such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, respiratory issues, and even cancers, Cannon said that dental care also benefits mental health.
When you get out of the military, you just don't understand, what that cavity, what that infection, what that really goes to the mental health. We talk about the suicide rate for veterans throughout the entire country. A lot of that can stem down to not being prideful with that smile. We are stepping up, be able to bridge that gap for our veterans.
I'm Chris Woodward.
More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app for your Apple or Android device. I'm Rusty Pugh.
If we lose this cultural war, we're going to have a hedonistic, humanistic society.
Discover the story of the culture warrior Don Wildmon and how he went head-to-head with Hollywood, Playboy, the homosexual agenda, and the Disney empire. The movement Don started paved the way for Christians to boldly stand for truth and righteousness in a hostile culture. Watch Culture Warrior today for free. Visit culturewarrior.movie.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. It's Tuesday, November the 11th, 2025. And we thank you again for listening to American Family Radio. Joining me in studio is Wesley Wildmon. Good morning, Wesley.
And good morning.
And good morning, Chris Woodward.
Good morning.
And I was going to say in Kansas City, Kansas, but no, Ray flew south to Florida.
I flew away with the snowbirds, and here we are in Hudson, Florida. And Tim, for some reason, the cold weather followed us all the way down here to Central Florida this morning.
I wonder, Ray, you must not be living right, brother.
I got to get on my knees and confess my sins or something.
Is that a blanket you're wrapped in? No.
That's exactly what it looks like. It was 35 degrees here in Hudson, Florida, which is like -6 back in Kansas City,
Right. Well, it won't stay that long, that cold, but for a day or two, right? Tomorrow,
that's right.
I think tomorrow it warms back up, but yeah, about half the country is being hit with this Arctic blast, what I call it. Some people call it some kind of vortex or something, but from So with in some cases record lows. For this day, right?
We do have a story about this on AFN.net. Matter of fact, our headline is Arctic air sinks deep into Florida, and it says National Weather Service forecasters said the weather could bring record low temperatures in the U.S. Southeast, including all of Florida, where parts of the state were near 80 degrees just a few days ago. It goes on to say the cold air brought gusty wind and red flag warnings in the Great Plains on Monday, and forecasters said the Great Lakes and Appalachian mountain regions could see 4 inches to 8 inches of snow.
Yeah, I almost took off to go hunting.
Oh, really?
But the wind.
Oh, okay. You mean because of the cold? The cold gets
with the cold front coming in.
Do they get the deer? Get the deer moving around?
The deers. Yeah. What happens is when there's a drop.
Did I say deers?
Deers. You started to. You caught yourself.
Yeah, a deer. Right?
That's right.
That's plural.
You got it correct.
Okay.
But yeah, when the temperature drops drastically, 15 to 20 degrees on either end, usually deer move really well. Hey, also, I don't want to change subjects too quick. We do got an announcement for you.
We do have an announcement?
Yeah. But
okay. Well, anyway, Ray, so you'll be back to sunshine and warmth tomorrow, right?
That's exactly right. But I got to say this, Tim.
Yeah.
They actually put out an official warning: watch for falling iguanas. Those are like those big lizards. That here in Florida, when it gets below 50 degrees, the iguanas they kind of freeze up. They go numb. And they fall out of the trees. So we had an official watch out for falling iguanas.
I wonder, does that kill them, or do they just sort of in a coma?
It knocks them unconscious, and then when it warms back up, they warm up. Can you imagine walking down a sidewalk and you get hit by a falling
iguana?
Yeah,
those things aren't small.
No, they're not.
They're not like a little cricket or anything.
Yeah, you'd like to think that they're smart enough that as the temperature drops, they go to lower ground, because if you're all the way at the top of a 20-foot tree and you're in iguana.
Yeah, but they're going to a lower ground involuntarily.
That's right.
Oh, I know that.
They're dropping through. Dropping through branches.
Yeah.
But anyway, so falling iguana. That sounds like a country song right there. Watch out for the falling iguanas.
It's more of a hip hop song, but
yeah, or it might be a good name again for a band.
That's right.
Now that would
the
be
falling iguanas.
The falling iguanas.
Huh?
More so than a country song.
You said you had an announcement?
Oh yeah, we got
an
announcement. Is this
like bulletins at church? Time to read the bulletin at church?
That's what it feels like, because we do this so often.
You are about to read it.
I am going to read it.
I don't even know what
bulletins.
It is. Go ahead.
We have National Collection Week for Operation Christmas Child. This year, Operation Christmas Child is hoping to reach 12.6 million children with the gospel through the shoebox gift. We all know what this is. If anybody's been listening to AFR for any amount of time, or you've been to any of your local churches, so many churches across the country, across denominations come together for this time each year, the National Collection Week. During this is the pre-week, and then of course it goes all the way up and through November 24th. So November 17th through November 24th are the dates that we are asking you to partner with Operation Christmas Child, Samaritan's Purse, that is, to collect shoe boxes. What you'll do there, all the information, because they have become a little bit more specific over the years of what they're needing and what we want, what they're asking you and what we're asking you to put in the shoebox. So you can go to SamaritansPurse.org/OCC. That's Samaritans with an S, purse.org/OCC. Just a couple of the obvious things as we've put our boxes together at my house for Operation Christmas Child over the years. Toothbrush, toothpaste, obviously crayons, things like that. But there is a good list that you can read off, and then there are a few things that they say don't put in there, and so you'll want to go check out.
They don't want any iguanas.
No iguanas. Right. Unless it has been frozen and fallen asleep,
and it will wake up when they get there and be a pet for the children,
then that's acceptable.
Yeah, okay. We're just kidding, people. Don't put iguanas in your Operation Children
shoe boxes.
Okay. So again, if people want more information about this, we've told Samaritan's Purse that we will help them get the word out.
That's right.
Not that they need much help, because everybody knows what this is, but this is Operation Christmas Child Shoebox Campaign, and they need to get it done by when?
By November 24th, and you can turn in your Shoeboxes at almost any local church. I mean, most likely we're almost serving as a reminder because almost all churches are participating in this. And now, if your local church is not, there's going to be a local church close by.
Yeah.
And on their website they have have a drop place.
I posted on our Today's Issues Facebook page the link to Samaritan's Purse in terms of the Christmas child. It's all the stuff you need. If you'll click that link, look for Pack a Shoebox, and then look down for drop-off locations. You'll basically enter your zip code, and they'll tell you all the places that you could drop something.
And we're encouraging you to do this.
Yeah, but it does have a list of items that they recommend you put in the shoebox, right?
That's right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense. A toothbrush, toothpaste, They probably
Shampoo,
they probably won't
soap.
put some kind of toy in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something fun, huh?
Something fun.
Yeah.
And then, obviously.
What is it? A yo-yo? Do they accept yo-yos?
Oh, yeah.
You
We
put a
got to
yo-yo
bring
in
the
there.
yo-yo back.
I know in years past,
We're gonna
Franklin Graham has told us that, you could even put maybe like a deflated soccer ball and like something to inflate it and things like that.
Yeah, we're gonna.
You can put an inflated soccer ball in a shoebox?
Yeah, you can.
Now we've gotten these
With a
shoeboxes have
pump?
gotten large over time. Yeah, with the pump, or with directions on how to blow it up by mouth.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot of stuff to put in a little shoebox right there.
That's why duct tape comes involved.
People with bigger feet than me have a bigger shoebox, so you could send a bigger shoebox.
Yeah. All right, you're listening to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Ray, Tim, Wesley, and Chris. Today is Veterans Day, right?
It
Chris?
sure is. It sure is. And as we speak right now, President Trump is at a Veterans Day ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery. Looks like VA Secretary Doug Collins is there, as well as veteran and Vice President J.D. Vance also there for the wreath-laying ceremony at the Arlington National Cemetery. I've posted a link to our C-SPAN friends over there that people can click on that and watch it live for themselves if they want to. But a traditional thing here that President Trump is participating in, something many of his predecessors
today, a lot of times, this is not a big deal, but for me, I think about the veterans. There's a difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day.
Correct.
Okay. Now, they do go, meaning the president and the vice president, go to Arlington National Cemetery today. And they'll also go on Memorial Day because it's the most symbolic venue in the country to commemorate the service of our servicemen and women, both living and dead. But in this case, we're honoring veterans. So thank a veteran.
Yeah, for sure.
Today. Thank a veteran today. Almost all of us know a veteran or two or multiple veterans. And thank a veteran today. Take them to lunch, give them a gift card, send them a text, whatever the case may be. But thank a veteran today because it is Veterans Day. Again, the president and the vice president, we're watching on TV right now. They're in Washington, D.C. at the Arlington National Cemetery at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and having a ceremony there on Veterans Day. Anything you wanted to add about that? Fellas?
Well, I mean, everything that we're doing right now is made possible because of a veteran. So we need to, that's something we kind of take for granted. All of our freedoms were fought for and sometimes paid for by veterans. So definitely.
In an all-voluntary Army.
Yeah.
An Army, Navy. By Army, I'm using that generically. But now during the Vietnam War and other times, we did have the draft. But our people sign up to serve in our military, the vast majority of them on a voluntary basis.
Yeah. There's a number of veteran cemeteries throughout the area. My father was a Vietnam veteran. He went home to be with Jesus back in 2017, but he's buried at a veteran cemetery here in the Corinth area. My stepdad was in the Navy post-Korea, but he served. My father-in-law was in the Army. He served in my father-in-law got the best deployment ever. He served in Hawaii. Everybody's, made our lives possible through their service in our armed services.
Amen.
All right. My dad passed away a couple of years ago, but he served in the Army, U.S. Army, 1962 to 64, I think. All right. You're listening to Today's Issues. Is Ray back or not? No, he's not. We've lost Ray. We've lost power. Ray's lost power there in
It's all the cold weather.
Central Florida. Well,
An iguana
Probably is.
fell on his, power box.
That's more accurate. Iguana falling on the power box.
Probably what happened. We laugh. Either that or an alligator, froze up, chomped down on the cord there going to Ray's house.
Yeah.
When it warms up, I say we get a van and we drive over there. I looked at it. Ray's about 10.5 hours away from us in a car.
Well, you want to drive that?
I will do it. We could do Trivia Friday live from Ray's.
Yeah. By the time we get down there, it'd be warm though.
Yeah.
Warmer.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you're listening to Today's Issues. Today is Veterans Day. What's your next story, Chris?
Well, let's mention the update with the government shutdown.
Oh, let's do that.
Yes. I'm sorry to do this, but it is a show called Today's Issues, and this is an update.
Riveting story. Wesley, are you ready for this? Chris is going to bring it on
what I'm here for.
Federal government shutdown. What's the latest, Chris?
All right. Late yesterday, the Senate approved a shutdown bill to reopen the government. That now goes to the House. And according to Speaker Mike Johnson, it looks like tomorrow is going to be the earliest they can vote on this. Today is a federal holiday, so even in a shutdown, Congress is not working on a federal holiday. Nonetheless, it looks like Democrats are still going to try to fight this bill and prevent the government from reopening. And I say that based on a comment that Hakeem Jeffries has made. And now, Hakeem Jeffries is the highest-ranking Democrat in the U.S. House of Representatives. And he says they're still going to fight this bill and other issues, even though members of his own party want to just stop it and reopen the government. Clip 1.
Leader Schumer and Senate Democrats over the last 7 weeks have waged a valiant fight on behalf of the American people. And I'm not going to explain what a handful of Senate Democrats have decided to do. That's their explanation to offer to the American people. What we're going to continue to do as House Democrats, partner with our allies throughout America, is to wage the fight to stay in the Coliseum.
All right, so even though the government's going to reopen tomorrow.
That's pretty dramatic language there. I'm seeing Russell Crowe.
Yeah. Are you not entertained?
Huh? He's going to stay in the Coliseum there.
Keep fighting.
Keep fighting. So, but
it's easy to say that when you continue to get paid.
In this case, he's going to lose the Democrats because there's enough. There's a handful of Democrats, but that's all it takes in the U.S. Senate to break the filibuster, they say, so that the federal government will be reopened probably by tomorrow sometime, probably.
Yeah, and, meanwhile, there are still issues with flying, so if you're taking a flight today or you're planning on flying out tomorrow, maybe even Thursday, you still may experience some disruptions, even though the government appears to be nearing an end to this shutdown.
And Schumer's leading the way, correct?
Yes.
Well, you mean Schumer's leading the way what?
In the way of, for the Democrats.
In terms of fighting it, yes.
Well, yes. Schumer's still opposed to Chuck Schumer, the Senate majority leader, is still no, not majority leader, minority leader, the Democrats. He's opposed to opening up, but but he has some Democrat senators.
That's right.
In his that are bucking his leadership and going to vote with the Republicans.
Yeah. I have that list.
Well, what's
again.
the list of the?
All right, so these are the Democratic caucus members that voted to bring an end to all this stuff. Senator Christine Cortez Masto of Nevada, Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois, Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire, Tim Kaine of Virginia, Angus King of Maine. He's an independent, but he hangs out with the Democrats. Jackie Rosen of Nevada, and Gene Shaheen of New Hampshire.
Yeah, I do think that those Democrats were, they wanted to reopen the government because they were getting a lot of pressure from their constituents.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's usually how this goes. At this point, it's hard to believe it's been 7 weeks. It almost seems like it was never going to.
It's the longest federal government shutdown in history. And I guess what gets me is these folks that have been working without a paycheck. Now, the congressmen and senators, they've taken some blame for this, some flack for this, but even though the government's shut down, they still get paid.
Oh, yeah.
While other federal government employees don't. So that's... seems to me the fair thing to do would be for them to share in the, pain, so that they would be motivated even more to get a resolution to a problem before it becomes a serious problem for families who are living paycheck to paycheck, who work for the federal government. I'm talking about, and these SNAP benefits and so forth like that. Now, is that so? That's going to that should be ending tomorrow. That's the way I'm reading it.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if the government's not back open for business and spending willy-nilly by Thursday.
And I'm reading here that the post office is going to improve as a result.
Are you really now? Okay.
I'm kidding.
And then we got a lot of postal workers who work for us. You want to take their calls?
I will take the ones that you're
That could be two of them right now.
That's
Look
right.
at that.
Yeah. No, we all know what I'm talking about. There's obviously there's good Christian, godly, hardworking in the post office, but but the system's messed up.
Yeah,
to say the least.
In a lot of ways. Yep, you're right. All right, you're listening to today's issues. Enough on the federal
I'm happy
government.
to move on, sir.
Let's move on to another topic.
Yes, this is something that we ended the 10 o'clock hour with yesterday, and I bring it back up because I have a soundbite from somebody that we all know, being somebody well-spoken on this issue. Yesterday, as we reported on the show, the International Olympic Committee is reportedly set to ban transgender women from competing in all female categories.
Fantastic.
Translation, the International Olympic Committee says no more males in female sports. Somebody that Fox went to for comment on this is Riley Gaines, who had this to say about the big announcement. Clip 8.
Look, I think this is long overdue, of course. I was looking at some of the articles that came out yesterday, and it said that the IOC came to this decision after findings of these scientific reviews, which is amazing to me. I don't really believe that we needed scientific reviews to determine that men and women are different. I think if you used common sense and reasoning and really just your eyeballs, you would get there. But nonetheless, kudos to the IOC for telling us, I think, what kindergartners already knew.
I would high-five her if she were here. That was a great comment she closed with, and she's absolutely right. So the International Olympic Committee, I guess they were doing their, quote, due diligence.
That's right.
So that they could explain to the world and to those who are promoting the trans movement, the reasoning behind their decision.
They needed someone to cite.
Yeah, exactly. So we did our studies, and we found that males and females are competitively different. So we're going to keep the sexes separate for the Olympic Games. I mean, that's what they said.
Which, if you think about it, makes sense.
Yeah. We need we need to make
like
common
she said,
sense great again.
common sense. But this is good to know that we won't have this controversy coming up, because we do have the Olympic Games, the Winter Games coming up. What?
I believe they're in February.
February.
They're in Italy this go round. I'm going to look up the exact dates for you.
You don't hear about this so much in the Winter Games as you heard about it in the Summer Games. I'm talking about men saying they're women and wanting to box against the girls, for example, or weightlift against the girls.
That's the image on the New York Post. They have an image.
Throw the shot put against the girls.
Right.
Somebody claims some dude claims he's a girl.
Yeah.
So this is going to be forbidden, banned, and so this is good news.
It is.
Good news for those who are, and I'm one of them. I enjoy watching the Olympic Games. Every 2 years now, you get the Olympic Winter Games. They used to have them the same year. They used to have the Olympics, the Winter and the Summer Games the same year.
It seems like they stopped doing that somewhere around maybe 92, and then they started doing the every other year thing.
Yeah, I like it that way because you have something to look forward to every 2 years as far as the Olympic Games. But so do we have the winter? Is winter coming up?
Yes. Winter is February 6th to February 22nd of 2026.
Where will that be?
It's going to be in Milan, Italy. And interestingly enough, the Super Bowl right now is scheduled to be February 8th. So February is a big sports month next year.
Yeah. And then the Summer Games will be
they're going to be in LA, I think.
Well, I think it's a year from this next summer. So
2028.
I think so. In Los Angeles.
Yes. I would have no doubt that President Donald Trump will be there and proudly proclaim it a big, beautiful game.
And this decision made by go ahead.
That was Chris.
Yeah, they actually have a countdown to the 2028 Olympics.
No way.
Online. 1,008 days.
Okay, what were you going to say,
On
Wesley?
the IOC ruling, it's not a ruling, it's a decision to ban men and women's sports. It was voted unanimously.
Yeah.
So.
All right, you're listening to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Wesley, and Chris. If you're wondering what happened to Ray, well, Ray's had an attitude problem going on 3 weeks now.
Send him back to Kansas City.
No, I'm just kidding. Ray has been disconnected by no fault of his own, that we hope. But the power is out on his internet service, right? It's in Florida. So it may have been a fallen iguana that hit his power line outside his house or something like that. We don't know. Hopefully we'll get Ray hooked up back. Let's take our break a little early here. Hopefully we'll get Brother Ray back on. Sandy Rios, also a Floridian, is going to join us momentarily. We hope. Hope power isn't out all over Florida. We'll be back.
Where's she located? Do you know today?
She's located in Central Florida.
Okay.
With Ray. All right, we'll be back. Stay with us.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
Years ago, I heard a story I would like to pass on to you. It happened in San Francisco. There was a little boy who lived in a neighborhood near the spot on a hill where sunrise services were held each year, and on that hill was a cross. The little boy became lost one day while playing. Someone discovered the little boy crying and asked what was wrong. The police were called, and they were attempting to learn the child's name. He didn't remember his last name, so that was no help. Then they tried asking him where he lived, on what street. He didn't know that either, but he did remember the hill with the cross. So he stopped crying long enough to say to the officers, "If you'll take me to the hill with the cross on it, I can find my way home." Perhaps the story never happened. I don't really know, but does it matter? The great truth of the story cannot be missed. If you'll take me to the hill with a cross on it, I can find my way home. How great has been the influence of the cross in our world? The cross is a symbol, an eternal symbol of something good in the heart of God. It is a symbol of sacrifice. In an age of terrible gluttony and greed, it does us good to look back at the cross. There was no greed there. No effort to grab, cheat, beat. No, the cross is a symbol of something noble, a sacrifice which literally knew no limits. Not only that, but the cross is a symbol of dedication to a great cause. And that's something desperately needed in our own age, an age so filled with shallowness of purpose. There was no turning back in the cross. The one who died there had grabbed hold of a great cause, a cause which would lift men's sight and save their souls. He was dedicated to a great cause, the one who died there, a cause greater than himself. Or again, the cross is a symbol of a great love, so great, in fact, that the human mind has never been able to fully comprehend it. Such a love had never existed before, and never again would the world witness such a love. How differently men would react to that love. Some would spit on it, some would stab it, some would make fun of it, and some would come under its spell, their lives suddenly taking on a whole new perspective in light of that love. Some of us may have lost our way on the road of life. Like the little boy, we're frightened. We're trying so hard and in so many ways to find our home. We search for some direction in wealth, thinking that it will guide us. Or we feel our way along with the use of drugs or alcohol, hoping they will give us direction. or we seek to find ourselves in our jobs, or in 101 other ways. We're searching to find our way back home. If you will take me to the hill with the cross on it, I can find my way home. The cross has always pointed one to God. The cross still gives one a sense of direction. If, somehow, we can find our way back to the cross, then we can find our way home, back to God, the giver and preserver of life. So when you become lost, remember the cross.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
Have no fear of them, nor be troubled, but in your hearts honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. Yet do it with gentleness and respect, having a good conscience, so that when you are slandered, those who revile your good behavior in Christ may be put to shame. 1 Peter 3:14 through 16.
American Family Radio. This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Wesley, and Chris. And we thank you for listening to AFR. Today, again, is Veterans Day, and it's been we've been observing Veterans Day since 1954.
Okay.
So 71 years in the United States, according to this information I have. Well, Wikipedia, which is always right.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's right.
So, but I think that is correct. The let's see here. So
they're usually right on that. When we joke about them being wrong, they're usually wrong on more of these social issues.
Well, Wikipedia. I remember reading a story a couple of weeks ago by the co-founder of Wikipedia. Now, he's no longer with the company, so to speak, or with the website, but he said they have developed a liberal bias.
That's what. That's right.
Yeah, and I think most people know that.
But as far as dates, and
he was one of the co-founders. But as far as a lot of just simple factual information that's non-political, so to speak,
right.
they're pretty good to go there for just your basic information. But this is saying that, according to Wikipedia, that the 1954 was the first Veterans Day commemoration. There was probably something before that went by a different name. I don't know. Now, we've had Memorial Day even longer than that.
Well, Veterans Day has a connection to the end of World War I, so it may have been a celebration to commemorate the ending of that war.
That would have been longer than 70-something years ago.
Because
it may have been called something else.
Right. The end of World War I is the 11th day of the 11th month and all that stuff. So that's
what's all that stuff?
That's like Armistice Day, I think.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Called.
That's what it was called.
That may have been what Veterans Day was thought of.
It's pretty impressive there.
Shout out to Coach Millender at Amory High School and his knowledge.
For your history knowledge that he imparted?
I loved history. It's like story time during school. All the other stuff is the reason I have a BA in communication.
I'd like to mention something since we are talking about history. This morning I was listening to a podcast on American Family Radio called the name of the title of the subject was The Pilgrim's Story in the Words of William Bradford, Part 1. And that's a podcast series called Americans' Providential History on American Family Radio. It's exclusive to podcasting. There's not enough room on our current radio network to host it, so we host it at afr.net. afr.net, you can get America's Providential History podcast by Stephen McDowell, and he's beginning what will end up being a 3 or 4 part series. Well, 2, 3, 4 part series that is discussing what led up to Thanksgiving and why we have Thanksgiving the way we have it.
Yeah, this is becoming more and more popular, this podcast, and we do recommend it. It is just it's a college or university level class that Stephen McDowell is giving away for free, so to speak. He does a weekly podcast. He is a historian. His name is Stephen McDowell. Many of you know him because he goes on our tours with us to Washington, D.C. and to Williamsburg and to Boston. Well, he does a weekly podcast on all kind of history, American history, that you will love if you enjoy history that Wesley's talking about.
It varied from 20 minutes to 40 minutes, and today he began one that's going to lead us all the way up until Thanksgiving.
I got you. So go to the website, afr.net. That's our website. Click on podcast, and then you'll see the banner for the America's Providential History weekly podcast, and it is outstanding. And so check that out, America's Providential History. You're listening to the radio program Today's Issues on American Family Radio. We're joined now by, speaking of podcasts, Sandy Rios, host of Sandy Rios 24/7, a podcast here. We offer another podcast we offer here on American Family Radio. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, Tim. You sound sick this morning.
I got, I got a little sniffles going on here, but it's not going to stop me.
Not going to get you out of the arena.
No, I don't scare these guys in studio with me because I do not have a fever and I do not have the flu. I got this weather whiplash going on, which is happening to you guys in Florida too, right?
It is. We had freeze this morning. We had frost on our hot tub.
Wow,
we did really
ironic.
on the cover.
Frost on the hot tub in Florida.
Yeah, pretty much. We're suffering.
Those are words. Those are words.
1-800-SUFFERING. Send your money.
For just 10 cents a day, you can help Sandy have a hot tub.
That's funny. Unfreeze Sandy's from a hot tub by calling this number. Well, I know I was going to talk to Ray about this too, and we've joked about this many times on this program. Of course, you grew up in Illinois, but how long did you spend living in the Chicago area? Sandy?
Yeah, I'm thinking 25 years probably.
25 years,
maybe.
so
yeah.
you could write a book on brutal winters, right?
Yes, I could. I moved there in 1978 from California. It was one of the worst winters they ever had. And the snow was so high, it was higher than your car. You had to drive through a tunnel. That was my first winter there.
I remember that in the 70s, from 74 to 79, it was just one brutal winter after another for the whole country, really. But you guys living in that area, just the Great Lake effect and all that, and the wind that comes through Chicago. Anyway, But now you grew up in Central, right? Central, South?
Southern
Illinois.
14 miles from Kentucky.
I got you.
14 miles from Indiana.
I got you. All right, well, let's talk about Tucker Carlson for a minute here. We've discussed the controversies that Tucker's been involved with on this program, and as we've expressed here before, and Sandy would be included in this, we all enjoyed Tucker's commentaries and his program back during the Fox News days, and even before that, he was on Crossfire with his bow tie back in the day. Tucker's always been a good, sound voice of reason for conservative principles. But what in the world has happened to Tucker on the subject of Israel has us scratching our heads, so to speak. A lot of us who have supported and appreciated Tucker Carlson over the decades. Sandy, speak on this issue, if you would, here.
Well, of course, I go back with Tucker to those days at Crossfire and George Washington University. That's how long I've known him. I did Crossfire dozens of times and co-hosted Crossfire with Paul Begala 3 different times, and had a famous blow up with James Carville on that show that made Rush Limbaugh's show. So that's how I know Tucker. Okay. I did a really in-depth show last week. It's complicated, but honestly, to try to respond quickly, I think the problem is this, Tim. I think we have such confusion among various stripes of Christian on biblical teaching on Israel. We are either in evangelical churches getting no teaching, and maybe that's not true for everybody, but pretty much. The seminaries have been teaching replacement theology, which means the church has replaced Israel with the church for his promises. which is just apostasy. I would just say that God is not changing it. What is he? The Bible says, what is he, a man that would change his mind? What is he, a human that he would change his mind? He doesn't do that. His promises, if they're not lasting for Israel, they're not lasting for us either. So, and then I think, Tucker's part of that Episcopalian strain, which I'm sure they're either into replacement or they don't teach anything about Israel. So I think Tucker is, in his particular case, I'm speculating. I haven't talked to him about this, but his confusion is based, I would like to say it's not intentional. Some people think it is, and I could get into that. But it's certainly based on his ignorance of Israel, his biblical ignorance of Israel and the connection, the fact that we are people of the book. We are joined at the hip, that Israel is central to the whole story of Scripture. It will culminate, their history will culminate in the future. And we cannot write them out of the script. So, but here's the other thing. In regard to Roman Catholics, which I have to give my caveats. I've worked with Roman Catholics as an activist for years. I love so many of my Catholic friends. I am not blind about the differences in terms of our theology, but this new pope, I think, has been a tremendous disappointment. The Catholics have gone through a desert, of disgrace with a priest's abuse of children. Then the last pope was an out-and-out apostate, and I think they had high hopes for this guy. But here's what he's done. He came out and said in July that the Israelis had bombed this Holy Family Church in Gaza, that they were killing Christians. He also said that they were committing genocide in Gaza. And I'm here to tell you guys, and anyone listening, that was an abject lie that he never withdrew. I can make my case for that if you want me to, but that's a lie. And Tucker is repeating it over and over again. Now, Tucker, do you want me to just...
Well, just to be clear here, you're saying the Pope did this, he called it genocide, and you're saying Tucker Carlson also called?
That and the fact, and he just repeated in this so-called apology, and he's actually embellished it, that the Israelis have attacked Christian churches and they've killed, what did he say, dozens? A bunch. They've killed a bunch of Christians. That's not true. That's not true, Tim. That Holy Family Church, that was a piece of equipment that came off of a tank or something. And it wasn't an attack on the church. And these people that were killed, it was kind of it wasn't even in the building. It didn't do that much damage. This is a complete embellishment/lie. And Tucker keeps repeating it, and the Pope has never taken it back. So all of our Catholic friends, like Kevin Roberts, who runs Heritage, and all the people at Heritage who are Roman Catholic, faithful Catholics, love the Holy Father, they believe this stuff. That's why they want to remove support from Israel. That's why Tucker wants to. And this apology that he just delivered, so-called apology with comedian Dave Smith, I was so optimistic and so hopeful. But all he did was double down on repeating that story and saying that's why I was upset with my Christian Zionist friends, because I mentioned it to them and they just shrug and say, no, we have to support Israel no matter what. And he said, you mean we have to support killing Christians? That's what he said in this interview.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Damaging, terribly damaging.
Yeah. Okay, so you said a lot right there. And,
I did.
And you said a lot of good stuff, and I agree with everything you said. Okay, let's separate for a minute Israel theologically from the discussion politically, even though the theological connection is
very important.
Very important, yeah. But just in terms of Israel, let's remember back how this started. Okay, now I know that people who are pro-Palestinian, their cause, they're going to say, no, this all started in 1948 when the Jews took over our land and forcibly took over our land. Okay, I'm not gonna go back to that. I'm going to start with. First of all, that's a long story that would take us hours to go through. Okay, and we could go, and you would have to go back to the Bible and the British Mandate and the post-Holocaust Nazi Germany, and the reasons why the land of Israel was, that a little tiny part of it was given to the Jews to have their own homeland. But just in terms of the modern, what happened here, the Hamas, the leaders, which is the political leadership of the Palestinians in Gaza, they butchered, murdered, in the most horrific ways imaginable that you can't even talk about, 1,100 to 1,200 Jews, and probably some Christians too, in that fateful day. Was that October 6th? Is that what that was?
October 7th.
October 7th.
Yeah.
What was the year? They all start running together.
2022.
Okay, 2022.
I'm not sure. You guys better check me on that.
2023.
Okay.
But we all remember that day and the scenes that were coming out of there. So that's what started the war in Gaza. Before that, the people living in Gaza were not at war in the sense of they would fire rockets at Israel, but Israel would knock them down and maybe fire a rocket here or there of their own in retaliation, but it wasn't a full-scale war. But when the Hamas decided it was a good idea to go butcher and kill, murder women, children, and men, women, and children at this music festival and everything, and then take, 150 hostages or something like that, when they thought that was a good idea to do, then it was, and excuse the expression, but then it was game on. And by that I mean Israel then was going to do what they had to do to defend themselves and to try to get their people back. And so here's where I draw the line. You don't have the right to dictate the terms of a war when you're the one who started it.
That's the bottom line. Yep.
Okay? When the United States was bombed at Pearl Harbor, Japan didn't have the right to say, whoa. You can't bomb us. You're killing that nuclear weapon you're going to set off. That's going to kill innocent children and women. That's genocide. You can't do that. Now, nobody likes war. If you are, you're a sick person. But at the same time, when war is started by one side, they don't get to tell the other side when to stop. That's the way I see it. And what further complicates the matter is that Hamas doesn't wear uniforms. And they don't go out there and fight straight up like men. They hide behind, they put their operations under hospitals and mosques and women and children. And so when Israel has to fight against Hamas, they unfortunately have to fire into civilian areas sometimes and people who are non-combatants. And so innocent people in that sense do get killed. But there's no other way to do it if you're Israel. If you're going to say, okay, Hamas they're building up a weapons cache to fire against us from all kinds of places. We've got to, where are they? Well, they're here. Well, we're going to have to fire into there. Well, that's going to kill a bunch of Palestinians, and the world's going to condemn us. And Israel was faced with that every single day, those kinds of decisions. So,
well said, Tim.
Yeah, go ahead.
Very well said. I just would add, because people need to understand, they burned babies alive. They tore babies from pregnant
7th.
Women's wombs.
Yes.
They slaughtered and burned and slashed and abused and tortured. It was horrific. Okay, so if we want to talk about non-biblical reasons, I'm all in. And I would add on this burning, attack on these so-called attacks on these Christian churches, killing
You mean the accusation that Israel is doing this?
That's what I'm saying. The so-called, yes.
So Tucker was repeating, and he had a lady on. I was like a lady. He had someone on his podcast about 2 months ago that
was talking about that.
Yep.
He's talked about this several times. He's said horrible things, and I just want to make a case. I've been going to Israel. The first time I went, probably Tim, you've been there. I know you've been there more than I, but the first time I went was probably the mid-'90s. My radio show in Chicago was going to have a tour, and I went on a pre-tour. And I would say that at that time, there's always problems in Israel, but what I observed is that it had a real strong atheist bent, very proud, very arrogant, not friendly to Christians. I mean, in so much as tourism was important, but certainly not respectful and not my tour guide was. I'm not talking about individual people. I'm talking about the government of Israel. There was no love for Christians, not really. And you tolerated them and you took their money. That I have seen that transform miraculously in the times I've been back, and also because I have lots of Jewish friends now, so I keep in touch even if I don't go. The regard for Christians is they know that we, in whatever stripe we're in, we are their best friends. We are the thing that stands against them in the world. Look at the UN. We are the ones that stand in favor, that defend them. Is there any way in the world they would target Christian churches in Gaza and kill Christians, given that circumstance? Well, that's the point I just had to make. So, and Israel, of course, is our best ally. It's the only democracy in the Middle East, and we're making all these deals with Islamists.
Listen, the same people that want to destroy and kill Israel and kill all the Jews and from the river to the sea, those chants, by that they mean to drive the Jews away from the land altogether, which is in the charter of Hamas, I believe. But the same people that want to kill all the Jews are the same people that want to kill all the Christians. And, it's the ideology of the Iranians. The big Satan is the U.S., the little Satan is Israel. So,
well, and now I just have to bring this back to Election Day 1 week ago today.
Yeah.
As soon as the Islamist communist Zohan Mamdani won, they called in all these Islamists with their prayer rugs to take over Times Square.
Yep.
They want to destroy and dominate us. It's not just over in Israel. We are joined at the hip and the heart trying to fight this. And Israel's fighting, and we're talking about it, not doing very much. We cannot let the church fracture on this as though we could stop it. But I do think we have to spend time teaching people, those that are Christians. Yeah. Yes, there's plenty of biblical information, but there's plenty of practical reasons why we cannot turn our back on Israel.
You're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Tim with Wesley and Chris, and also Sandy Rios. Sandy's joining us. We're talking about the controversy over the direction that Tucker Carlson has taken, having to do with Israel and the Jewish people, really. And I know that Mark Levin is just on the warpath now.
Yes.
Against what Tucker is saying.
You know what Tucker said about him? Tucker said, Mark Levin is a repulsive ghoul who gets off sexually on people being killed. He said that. I've played that clip over and over again. And also Tucker said he didn't really think Hamas was a terrorist group. It's more like a political group.
You heard that, Wesley?
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
Well, you listened to the podcast where he said that, or he said that, but
I've seen the clips of what Sandy is saying.
Yeah.
That he said.
I found the link to it.
I don't know what to say. I'm just flabbergasted.
I want to commend to people a show that I did just last week. I spent a long time on it preparing. I mean preparing to make sure I was accurate. I do my best to speak the truth, and you all know that, but I just have to tell people. And it's called Christian Zionism. Christian Zionism, in a quote, is a brain virus, a heresy. That's what Tucker says, as a firestorm erupts. And I tackle all of this. Heritage is about to come apart at the seams. The most important think tank for conservatives in the country.
Yeah.
And they are, even if Kevin Roberts has apologized for making a mistake in what he said by saying Tucker is going to remain their good friend, he has not addressed the whole lies about Israel.
Wesley, you were going to say?
Well, I've got a question for Sandy with the time we've got left. So what I have seen in my generation, those would be between 34, 35, well, between 22, 23, and 34, 35 years old. Almost all of them, a lot of them, have been taught replacement theology, which is what you were referring to earlier.
Yep.
And what would you say to that group of Americans that heard you? Now, I know what you meant, but they would have heard you say, okay, well, then Israel can do no wrong. So how would we respond to that?
She didn't say that.
I know she didn't say that.
Right.
I'm saying that my generation would hear her because she didn't criticize. They would say, well, you didn't criticize Israel there.
Okay.
Yeah, good challenge.
Yeah.
No, it's a great challenge.
Yeah.
It's like, think of it as a family relationship. We love our family, we love our kids, but we don't defend everything they do.
Right. Sure.
Or support everything they do. That's a really stupid standard.
Yeah.
And when Israel was controlled by some leftist prime ministers, and presidents, it was hard. They made some, that doesn't mean, whatever they do, they're right. No, it just means that we support them. We want the best for them. We want to pull them iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
If there needs to be some correction, we try to bring it as political friends and allies. But
the reason I asked the question is because, as Dad pointed out, that's not at all what you said. That's not at all what we believe. But that's if you have any support toward Israel, or you think they're an ally of any kind, they've been taught that means that we don't also criticize them. Like you said, the analogy used with your family.
Yeah.
Well, they also say, and this. Maybe get Ray back on by phone the next half hour if possible, because I'd like to hear his thoughts on this. They also say, Sandy, can you stay on, Sandy?
Sure, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, it's important.
Okay, because we also hear that, from even Tucker Carlson and others, there's nothing special about Israel.
Yes, that's also another issue.
And I would say, there is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's biblical.
Yeah. Listen, Sandy mentioned seeing the Holy Land. I want the holy sites of Christianity and Judaism protected.
Mm-hmm. But
if you let just Muslims take over that area, they'll destroy all the Christian sites. I'm just telling you.
They'll destroy it, and what they don't destroy, because for their own gain, they wouldn't let us visit.
Right. I mean, it's just there's all kind of reasons why America needs to stand with Israel. It doesn't mean we can't criticize them from time to time, but we need to stand with Israel. We'll be back.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
They will thrust a cell phone in your face. If you ask a question, they'll surround you with cameras. They'll scream at you. They'll try to get you to commit violence. I believe God is giving us a little bit of a glimpse into what life without Him would be like.
A Disciple's View with Todd Herman. Critical information from a faith-enriching perspective. Weekdays at noon Central on AFR. This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. Pressure continues to build against a major party leader.
After 7 Democratic senators and an independent who caucuses with the party joined Republicans to pass a bill to reopen the government, President Trump tells Fox's Laura Ingraham he thinks the GOP got the best of Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
He just went too far. He thought he could break the Republicans, and the Republicans broke him.
The top Senate Democrat did not vote for the measure, but a number of progressives in the party are calling for Schumer to be replaced. The New York Democrat has not given any indication he plans to step aside. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
A conservative columnist thinks so-called moderate Democrats were hearing from a lot of their constituents calling for an end to the long government shutdown.
Enough Democrats finally joined Republicans to advance a short-term spending package to put the government on a path to reopening. But several hurdles remain. Senate Majority Leader John Thune hopes that a final vote on the spending package will take place in the Senate early this week. After that, it must clear the House of Representatives before it can become law and reopen the government. Speaker Mike Johnson has ordered all 435 members back to Washington for that potential vote. Once both chambers approve the bill, it will go to President Trump to sign, upon which the shutdown will finally be over. Robert Knight is a columnist for the Washington Times. He thinks those Democrats felt the pressure.
I think maybe they're hearing from a lot of their constituents who have wised up to the fact that the Democrats could have ended it any time over the last month and chose not to.
Knight says the central issue remains reforming Obamacare.
Republicans do have alternatives to Obamacare. They just haven't been able to enact them because the Democrats have opposed any reforms, really, to Obamacare. They just want to keep shoveling more money at it.
Knight says there are two groups that taxpayers should object to.
People that have at least 4 times the poverty income and illegal aliens. They would all get Obamacare subsidies paid for by taxpayers. That's what this was about. And, of course, if you just follow legacy media, you wouldn't know that. You just think it was the bad Republicans shutting down the government for no good reason.
I'm Chad Groening.
Air traffic restrictions are set to increase today, with 6% of flights being removed from the nation's airports. This comes despite the imminent end of the government shutdown. Kelly Saberi has the latest from Chicago O'Hare International Airport.
The people who are here now, they're the lucky ones, so they're happy that their plane is going to take off and get them to their intended destination. Now, Airlines for America, which represents the industry, saying this after the Senate passed a bill to reopen the government. Quote, with the Thanksgiving travel period beginning next week and the busy shipping season around the corner, the time to act is now to help mitigate any further impacts to Americans. We encourage the House to pass the bill swiftly. Now, the trade group went on to say that even if the government is able to reopen, let's just say tomorrow, that doesn't mean that all the effects of this are going to go away. They say there will be residual repercussions in the next maybe few days.
But for those controllers with bills to pay and mouths to feed, the shutdown is still very much a problem. ATC President Nick Daniels says the misery won't end so soon for air traffic controllers just because a deal was reached.
If the shutdown is to end tomorrow, controllers still haven't been paid yet. They're still facing those issues. While the rest of America will get to go on, and that will no longer be the headline the news headline, it's still real for them. So we're going to have to continue working through the issues.
Today is Veterans Day, a time to honor and thank our men and women in uniform. Speaking on a recent webinar hosted by Inside Sources, Steve Schwab of Elizabeth Dole Foundation said we should also take time to thank the veterans' caregivers.
We have 14.5 million military and veteran caregivers. These are the spouses, parents, siblings, children, and other loved ones who are providing day in and day out care.
More than 190 million Americans woke up to an Arctic blast today, with most people seeing temperatures 15 to 25 degrees below average from the plains across the eastern half of the U.S., including the South, which set numerous record low temperatures. A large dip in the jet stream has ushered in polar air from Canada some 3 weeks before the start of the meteorological winter. More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app for your Apple Android device. I'm Rusty Pugh.
At Wesley Biblical Seminary, we believe God is raising up a movement across our nation and around the world who hold fast to the inerrancy of Scripture and the hope of holiness. We do this through bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees, certificate programs, and even training for lay people. So whatever your next step is in being equipped for ministry, we're here for you. And if you believe these are the kind of pastors we need leading churches in the future, we invite you to think about giving to Wesley Biblical Seminary. Learn more about us at wbs.edu.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. That's the name of this show. I'm Tim Wildmon with Wesley Wildmon and Steve Paisley Jordahl joins us now. Good morning, Brother Steve.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Okay, so we're continuing to talk about a topic that we were the last half hour with Sandy Rios. This topic that we're talking about with respect to Israel and Christianity and what the Bible teaches about the Jews and Israel and our relationship with them in terms of Christian community with Israel, and also what about America in general, our government, what should be our policy, because a lot of people say Israel is no special place. We have no special relationship with Israel. We shouldn't be supportive of them or any more than we're supportive of any other country. So there's a lot to talk about here, but so I wanted to get Ray back on. Ray Pritchard, raised in Florida, and what happened to your power there, Brother Ray?
Well, evidently, while we were on the air, a driver hit a power pole and knocked it out, and it caught on fire. So this is what cold weather does to people in Florida. They start driving even crazier than usual. So
that's good.
At least it wasn't an iguana.
That's what I was going to say. It seems like everything's coming back to the iguana. So you sure there's no iguana involved here at all?
It's very possible.
Okay, it is
that
possible.
An iguana hit the guy, and the guy hit the pole, and it caught on fire, and boom, here we are.
Or he could have tried to dodge a falling iguana, with a car.
That's true, too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That happened.
I
All right.
do know what you're saying.
Yep. So Sandy is not too far from Ray, but Sandy Rios from Sandy Rios 24/7. Sandy, tell people how to listen to your podcast air twice a week, and then I want to get back to this topic.
Well, it's Sandy Rios 24/7, and you can get it on any podcast platform. And certainly because we are part of American Family Radio Network, the same, you can go to afr.net and look at the podcast categories and find Sandy Rios 24/7. You can also find it on my website if you don't feel fluent or comfortable with other ways to do this. Go to sandyrios.com, and it's easy. You can see it. You can listen every day.
We've been talking also about Tucker Carlson because that some of the things that Tucker's saying and is just I don't know what to say. It's unbelievable that he's saying about Israel that I find offensive, and that millions of people who have been his fans and followers find offensive. And he's really got his dander up about it. He's very defensive, and he was on with Megyn Kelly, and if you try to challenge him about any of this stuff, he just shuts it down with,
deflects.
He just says, I only answer to God and my family. Basically, that's what he said the other day about interviewing.
Or then he challenges you on free speech. Aren't you for free speech?
Yeah, I mean, he's really like somebody backed in a corner.
Mm-hmm.
But he's backed himself in the corner, quite frankly. On this, now I say in the corner, there's people in the corner with him. Unfortunately, on some of the things that he's saying that are anti-Israel and anti-Semitic. I don't know how else to put it. I wanted to. I don't know which way best way to do this because Steve, did you have a quote from?
Some audio.
Did you have something you wanted to say here?
Well, listen, I was prepared to talk about this topic, so I can. What I have is an audio of Tucker Carlson kind of walking back his comments about his dislike of Christian Zionists. And then he clarified why he said he was mad, and then he clarified who he was mad at. It wasn't all Christian Zionists. We can play that if you'd like.
When was this?
This was yesterday, Monday.
All right, go.
On Dave's show.
I'll listen to it.
Go ahead, good night.
But I just want to say at the outset, because this has been weighing on me, I did say something that I really regret saying that I didn't fully mean. I said it because I was mad, which is always when I say things I don't really mean. I was snippy and I didn't explain it. And I said something to the effect of, I despise Christian Zionists. And I'm just sorry that I said that because I don't. I'm mad at a certain kind of thinking. Some of the nicest people I know are Christian Zionists, actually. If you're in a car crash, they would save you. If you need someone to watch your bank account, they wouldn't steal from you. They're like really good people and sweet people.
So he went on to say, and it was a 2-minute clip, so I didn't do all of this. He went on to say who he is mad at, or he says he asked some of the leaders in Congress, specifically Speaker Johnson, about Israel, who he says on purpose, this is a charge that Tucker is making, not us, that Israel bombed some Christian churches in Gaza on purpose and killed Christians, and why are we paying for that? And he says, quote, the response I got from every single one of these politicians was, the Bible commands us to support Israel, he said. And I said, so Jesus is telling us that we need to get on board with murdering Christians? Is that what you're saying? And they basically said then, like, shut up. Close quote.
Is he paraphrasing right there? Because I don't believe him.
Okay, so
the part I don't believe what Tucker's saying there, and maybe it did happen this way. I don't believe that Speaker Mike Johnson, by the way, who is an evangelical Christian himself.
Yes, he is.
I don't think that all. Did you say what was the quote? All of them said what?
His quote. The response I got from every single one was, "The Bible commands us to support Israel." And I said, so Jesus is telling us that we need to get on board with murder.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think an answer with almost all those guys who are Christians who would support Israel in Congress, they would say this. They would say, well, if Israel bombed churches in Gaza, then they didn't mean to. And if they did mean to, there was a good reason for it, and it's unfortunate. But they didn't intentionally kill Christians and destroy churches just for the fun of it.
That's right.
In Gaza,
which was his claim.
Which is what his let me finish here. Which is what his smart aleck response is making them seem to say. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right.
Tim,
Go ahead,
can I jump in?
Yeah.
Well, one observation that I've made that I think is very important. This interpretation of Tucker, misinterpretation of what he just said about Mike Johnson and others, and I agree with you on that, springs from that discussion with Ted Cruz on the air. You remember that? I bet you guys talked about that too.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And the observation I have about that in trying to analyze what's causing not just Tucker, but the whole mess. And it goes back to a statement I made in the first hour with you. Evangelicals are completely ignorant right now. All they know is there are exceptions, yes, but for the most part, they don't know the connection between Israel biblically or historically. And so they remember sound bites. And I'll give you the case in point. Ted Cruz, the most brilliant, probably the most brilliant senator likely in Congress, certainly debater, informed, smart, recall of details. When he was challenged by Tucker in that back and forth on why he felt they should support Israel, his answer was, because I learned in Sunday school that God blesses those that bless Israel and curse those that curse Israel, and I want to get a blessing. Now, I maintain to all of you that was an uninformed answer. I'm not saying Ted was wrong, but I'm saying that brilliant man, he couldn't make the case. Which we have plenty of cases for it. He couldn't do it. So if he can't do it, then this is what we've got. We've got ignorance in the church and lack of teaching.
Okay, well then that would support Tucker's charge. That the answer he got back was exactly what Ted Cruz.
Well,
gave
I think
him.
there's certainly shades of it. I don't think. I think he overstates, of course.
Yeah.
Make his
so anyway, I think the answer would more likely be from. Most of them would be what I said, and that Israel is our traditional and longtime ally in the Middle East, and they have values that are more similar to ours than any other Muslim dictatorship in the region. So, all right, Ray, I want to bring you in here for just. I want to give you the hard question, Ray.
Okay.
No, if the power goes out this time, we'll know you're just avoiding the question. No, I'm just kidding. All right, it gets this whole issue of replacement theology and what our view of Israel today is versus historically by the Christian community can get somewhat complicated. But I want you to talk about it because there are verses that I can't cite right here and right now, but there are verses in the New Testament that seem to indicate because Christ came, the world of the salvation is now, and God's relationship with people is now open to all, not just Jews. And so there is that. Is that replacement theology? And what about the Abrahamic? Help me out here.
Abrahamic covenant.
Go ahead.
That is not replacement theology at all. That's just good old-fashioned Bible Christianity. The truth is, the gospel now goes to all the nations. Jesus said, "Go, preach the gospel to every nation, beginning in Jerusalem, but not stopping there." Acts 1:8, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, to the ends of the earth. And so we can confidently say to anybody, anywhere, if you come to Jesus Christ, if you turn from your sins, if you trust in the Savior, you will be saved. So that, to me, is bottom line. That's just Christian evangelism, all right? The deeper question is this, and probably getting more to your point. Does God still have a plan for ethnic Israel? Do the promises, the land promises, the national promises made in the Old Testament, which they're in Genesis, but they're also in Exodus, they're also in Deuteronomy, they're also in 2 Samuel, they're in the book of Isaiah, they're scattered throughout the book of Psalms, promises made again and again to the nation of Israel. The question is, are those promises fulfilled today exclusively and only in the Church of Jesus Christ, or does God still have a future for ethnic Israel in the last days? And my answer would be, he still has a plan for the Jewish people, which will be fulfilled in the last days when Jesus comes back. I don't see, again, I understand some learned Bible students would disagree with what I'm about to say. I respect that. I understand it. But as I read Romans 11, where Paul says, and to all Israel will be saved, I don't see how you can read that as applying to make Israel there equal the Christian church generally. I think he means Israel, the Jewish people. There will be a great turning to Christ among the Jewish people when Jesus comes again. So do I think the church has inherited some of the promises that were given to Israel in the Old Testament? They're now extended to the church? Yes, absolutely. That's what the new covenant is all about. The thing that I reject is the idea that the church replaces Israel completely in God's plan. I don't see that in the Bible.
Could I jump in?
Yeah, jump in.
Yeah. So Ray, you and I are on the same team as usual. Romans 9 through 11 is a must read for people confused right now. The whole thing, 9 through 11, Paul makes it very clear. And I want to just say something that will be a practical illustration. Some of you will remember that in our country and in England, some of our founding fathers from England, my roots are there too, there were, we always had family estates, family land, family houses. Names were connected to property. And in Israel, same thing, land, the land, the land. So when God promised the land in his promise to Abraham initially, and all repeated places like Ray mentions, of course he meant the land, the people and the land, the people and the land. And I would say also, two things I got to tell you very quickly. I know I don't want to dominate here, but I heard a Dallas Seminary professor in a video recently just poo-poo that, all the things of Revelation, the role of the Jews, that's already happened, blah, 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 blah. I talked to a guy that you would know, I won't mention his name because it's a private conversation, who was in Israel. He's been there 70 times. He's a very prominent theologian. And he said that the Catholic Church is just building strength in Israel right now. And he was challenging them on trying to take property that Israel owned. And the Catholic leader he was dealing with said, well, the Catholic Church is the replacement from Israel. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore, the promises to them. And so this is like a poison spreading through. It is an abject lie. It's an apostasy from my perspective. And I want to just point out the reason I believe, if you pin people down, they think the Jews killed Christ. God has brought his judgment on the Jews. Oh boy, has he ever. And the Israelis have rebelled. And I would just put this in there. So you think the church hasn't rebelled? So you think that we haven't crucified Christ again and again and again? When you look around this country, this so-called Christian nation, you really think that we're the inheritors of God's promises more than the Jews who rebelled against him? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Ray, can I ask you, in that same Romans 11 passage, I believe somewhere in there, where it talks about believers being grafted into the tree. Doesn't that answer this question? The tree remains Israel and we're grafted in? Is that relevant here?
Well, that's exactly right. The root in that image of the root and the tree, the root is the promise that God made to Abraham. It was given originally to Abraham and to his descendants. And when the Jewish people, through their leaders, rejected Christ as their Messiah and crucified him, Paul's argument is that for the moment, blindness in part has come upon the Jewish people. They have been replaced in the promises of God by the Gentiles, the Church of Jesus Christ. And Paul's argument is, don't boast, you Gentiles, because if God took the Jews and set them aside temporarily, he can graft them back into the place of promise anytime he wants. So salvation is completely of the Lord. God had everything Sandy said is 1,000% right, 1,000%. The promises that God made to Abraham, to the Jewish people, they were true, they are true, and they will, when Christ comes back, be fulfilled down to the letter. And let me just add this. I don't know what Tucker Carlson thinks about me personally. I'm sure he's never heard of me, but I am one of those Christian Zionists, and I'm happy to take that label because to me, all that means is I believe that God still has a plan for the Jewish people and that one day that plan will be completely fulfilled in the land with the redeemed Jewish people bowing and worshiping Jesus Christ, their promised Messiah.
Amen. Amen. All right. Thank you, Ray. We appreciate it. We'll let you go back to trying to get your power turned on there. Is there anything you could? Are you a helpless man there?
I am completely and totally helpless. It's better if I don't touch anything.
Okay. Well, I would just say this: in the grand scheme of things, if you're gonna have to be helpless without power, it's better to be helpless in Florida than Kansas City in the winter.
I think that's exactly right.
Am I right about that? All right. Take care, Ray.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tim. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, Sandy, we'll let you go too. Thanks for staying over with us. When's your next podcast drop?
It's today, and it's going to be very interesting. It is interesting. We just recorded it. We kind of traced the 3 elections last week, and I bring a lot of stuff that's come out. I'll just mention 2 things. Zohan Mamdani, one in New York City with 85% of foreign-born persons who came in the last 5 years. There was no voter ID. No voter ID.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. And then I want to give a broader perspective. Currently, we have 54 million residents not born in the U.S. 54 million. That's 16% of our population. And when you trace these elections on last week and future elections, because we haven't made citizenship requirements, this is our future. What happened last Tuesday is our future unless we get a grip on this. So I talk about that. I talk about Veterans Day, and that's coming out today.
Well, you're going to have voter ID, or the whole system's going to collapse eventually. You got to have voter. You can't have people voting without proper identification that they're even a U.S. citizen. That's insanity.
Well, you know what, Tim? We have a great bill. It's called the SAVE Act. It's been passed by the House at least twice, maybe 3 times, but the Senate refuses to consider it.
The Democrats?
No, I'm talking about, of course, the Republicans control the House. In the Senate, the Republicans won't bring it up. They say they don't have enough votes. And this is one of the issues with President Trump about doing away with the filibuster. We've got to save our country. This is an emergency. Right. There are a million things to consider, but this SAVE Act, which just reinstates law and requires citizenship everywhere, and mail-in balloting brought back into subjection according to law, it's very important. And yet the Republicans are so concerned about the filibuster, that rule, in case they have power next time. They're not going to have power next time. We are headed for a disaster if they don't do this. I think they need to get rid of the filibuster and do emergency measures like President Trump is and like all of us have to. It's all everybody on deck, all hands on deck.
Well, again, Sandy Sunshine with us from the great state of Florida, bringing
no sunshine today. Frost on my hot tub.
I'm just teasing with Sandy. Sandy brings the truth, and let the chips fall where they may, so to speak. All right, Sandy, thanks so much. Take care. We appreciate you being on with us today.
All right. Great to talk to you guys. Love you all. Talk to you
Okay,
soon.
love you too.
Okay, bye.
That's Sandy Rios from Sandy Rios 24/7. Steve?
What a good lady. Hey, some good news. Let's talk about some good news. Memphis, Tennessee. You know, Donald Trump sent the National Guard and some troops into Memphis to help keep the peace there because it's a city that was in deep trouble. Well, about the same time as the Guard arrived there, they started a task force, which was an interagency coalition of federal, state, and local law enforcement partners. And it was called the Memphis Safe Task Force. And since it has been started, as of November 8th, they have rescued 101 children from probably sex trafficking. And I just wanted to let you hear a little bit about how the local news is covering this. Cut 10.
First at 10 tonight, we have new information when it comes to the Memphis Safe Task Force in the city. Hi there, thanks for being with us. I'm Shay Arthur. Tonight, we have new numbers from the U.S. Marshals Service who tell us the task force has located and safely returned more than 100 missing children. For the past 40 days, the Missing Child Unit worked alongside local and state authorities to bring those children home. Officials call it one of their proudest accomplishments, crediting strong partnerships and relentless investigation. In October alone, the Memphis Safe Task Force says it also made more than 1,800 arrests across the region.
Well, that's great news. A rescue of 100 kids. I'm guessing those were within the Memphis area or within driving there. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That is great news. Absolutely.
It is. That is great news. That's obviously they're not military, but with Veterans Day and just reminds me of all those that serve our communities and serve our country.
Keep law and order.
Law and order.
Yeah. Did you have one more story? Do we have time for, or are we out of time?
Well, let's just.
You had something funny, didn't you?
I don't think we have time. Yeah, we do. Well, no, we don't have time.
We can start it. It's still the whole. You don't
All
have
right.
to play the whole thing because I'm.
This one airline that isn't doing is doing pretty well. Cut 12.
Welcome to Virtue Airlines, the progressive airline for people who cancel everything except their holidays.
We offer direct flights to Cuba, China, and North Korea.
Okay. That's Progressive Airlines?
Yeah, we can finish that tomorrow.
They want to go to the communist utopian paradises, huh?
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, who doesn't want to go direct to North Korea, right? Enjoy a holiday. All right, thank you for listening to our program, everybody. We appreciate it very much, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.